1 minute to go. How's everyone doing? Hello everyone and welcome to the Train Sim World June 2025 roadmap. How are you all doing? Hello. I appreciate everyone's wishes of good luck as well in the chat. Now, if you're a regular here, this is generally a show that I host with myself and with the wonderful Mr. Matt Pedalston, our executive producer of trains here at Dovetail Games. But unfortunately, he's unable to join us today due to a family emergency. But all is well, all is in recovery. But unfortunately, it will just be myself tonight. So I hope we're still going to be able to dive into some questions. We're going to dive into some of the cool new things on the June roadmap. And I've gotten a bit of an extended Q&A for you all today. And I've done some research. I've been talking to some internal teams as well. And I want to dive into some topics that I think will really add a little bit of different value and hopefully make up for the gap that we have without Matt. But how's everyone doing? How's the audio sounding? Let's do the basic checks. Pretty well, so hot in here. Caravat, I can't agree more. It is boiling. I've got a kind of half glass of water. I'm hoping it's enough. But it is a really warm day. Maze Taze, hope you had a great birthday, mate. You don't look any older. Wonderful. I did have a wonderful birthday back at the end of May. Good to see you here, though. And hello, everyone. Volume seems good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Cool. I mean, we've got loads of things to talk about. Again, without Matt's wonderful insight, we won't be diving too heavy into the dev side of things. But what I will do is I'll run through the Train Sim World roadmap. We'll talk about all the things on it. I'll give a summary of what we usually do. I'll show all the new screenshots as well. And then we'll dive into some discussion topics and a bit of Q&A from the roadmap Q&A thread that we had live. And we'll go from there. And it'll be a great warm stream, I reckon. As a quick start, if you've not been here before, what we're going to do is we're going to show the roadmap asset. We've got a wonderful image that talks about everything in June that we've talked about, that we've announced. We'll talk a little bit about what happened in the previous month, and then we'll kind of dive into one at a time. We'll show the screenshots, we'll show all the wonderful bits, and I'll give a bit of a summary of everything that we have to date as of today. So why don't we just open the graphic? Let's jump in. Let's go to this scene here. So this is the June 2025 Train Sim World 5 roadmap asset. And as you can see, we've got 3 new announcements today. Including in this is the Cargo Line Volume 5 from Skyhook Games. This is the latest edition of the Cargo Line series. We've also got a MBTA Providence Stoughton Line HSP pack from us at Dovetail Games. And as well as this, TSG is coming in with an Expert DBBR 101 on Castle Würzburg gameplay pack. So we've got 3 new announcements from that front. And for the most part, everything else on the roadmap should hopefully have been there and should have been added since our last update in May. So there shouldn't be anything new on that side of things. But things would have shifted around, timelines would have changed. And I know for those of you that are looking forward to the Colin Arkin timetable update for PlayStation 5 and Epic Games, we can finally confirm that that's coming very soon. So I'll dive into those specifics as we go through the roadmap. But this is the updated asset for June. And just before we go into all the specifics, sometimes I like to touch on what we've done in the past month and kind of talk about the journey here. But throughout May, mostly we were focusing on a lot of sales and a few add-on releases. We had some May Madness sales on the Steam store pages. As well as this, we also had various sales, various discounts for both PlayStation and Xbox. But also we had the release of a few add-ons. Frankfurt S-Bahn notably was a really successful launch, as well as a Thomas & Friends 80th anniversary pack and the Cargo Line Volume 4. And we're following up with Cargo Line Volume 5 very shortly as well, so we can find the next in the series. But that's a brilliant pack from Skyhook Games, and we've started seeing some wonderful feedback from all of you in the community on that. So thanks for sharing it. But we're also going to be talking a little bit more about what Skyhook got up to today as well. And that's it. So I think we're ready to dive into it. Just checking the chat. Any super heavy heat in the UK? It is ridiculous. We'll take it easy today. We'll go through things pretty slowly, and then we'll just have a more chill session of talking through things. Can't take a break between topics tonight. Oh, don't worry, I'll go a little bit slower. It's okay. It's a warm day. We'll take it easy. But wherever you're joining us tonight, I hope you're doing well. And let's start off. So I've got the first thing on our list, and the first thing in the roadmap was the MBTA Providence and Stoughton Line HSP 46 add-on. So this is one that is coming from us at Dovetail Games. It's a new gameplay pack that we've announced today, and it's going to bring that iconic purple HSP 46. Now this is one of my favorite locomotives, and it comes from the MBTA Commuter route, which is a separate add-on. But we're going to be bringing this over to the NEC Boston Providence route, and it's going to come with a fresh set of gameplay scenarios. It's going to add conductor mode to the Boston route, and also alongside it, it will also bring tutorials for the HSP 46 to the training center, which will feature a guide for setting up the train's controls and loading and unloading passengers across a full loop of the circuit. So this was something we've announced. Some of those new scenarios are going to challenge you in different ways. Some of the notes we had on the roadmap article included building up formations from a cold start. You'll be doing some yard work at Redville sidings. And there will be train rescue operations during snowfall as well. So that should add a little bit of interest to those scenarios as well. But right now, we've just got a couple of these first work in progress screenshots that are flickering on screen, and it's mainly focusing on just that iconic purple color. And I must say, I'm a little bit biased. Some of the US locos are just the best looking locos. We can have that poll, we can have that debate in the YouTube chat maybe of which region around the world brings the best locos. But I'm firmly on the US side because they tend to be the biggest, bulkiest, and kind of the coolest. So feel free to take me on for that hot take, but we will be sharing more details for this gameplay pack in the coming weeks. So we know we've kind of announced it today, we've given some top level information, but we haven't kind of dived into the full scoop of what to expect, and that will be coming a little bit shortly down the line. But it is something new that we announced, and it will be coming from our teams at Dovetail. And now the rest, we're going to be checking in with our third-party partners. So the first thing I want to dive into is Cargo Line Volume 5. This is now the next in the Cargo Line series, and we're going nuclear. Now, I know a lot of you in the community had suspicions about what this pack would be because we shared a teaser, and I think Skyhook shared it as well. I believe it was either last month or the month before, and that was of the Type 1 Class 20 diesel loco. It's like a little corner of it. Well, now we've fully announced it, and so we can announce that yes, this will be Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear from Skyhook Games. And this is going to add new gameplay, it's going to add new scenarios, it's going to add new rolling stock. And obviously what you're seeing here is some of the screenshots they've provided us with. And this adds the FNAD, I'm making sure I'm getting the acronym right here, but the FNAD Flask Carrier Wagons. And of course, what you're seeing here is the Type 1 Class 20-3 diesel locomotive. Now, what I would do, if you haven't already seen this, Our roadmap article is live, and you can read that currently. But Skyhook Games have actually written a really lovely summary of the detail around the history of this loco and the history of why these wagons were added. I'm going to give a quick rundown of what that is, but you can read a full, proper few paragraphs that Skyhook provided, and it was a really wonderful and it's really interesting read. If you haven't checked that out on the roadmap article, definitely recommend it. But what you're looking at here is the DRS. They eventually they essentially added and they operated a fleet of 21 examples of the electric English Type 1s. But in the 2010s, it was identified that replacements were required. The Nuclear Decommissioning Authority commissioned W.H. Davis to produce 40 new wagons as like-for-like replacements for these original FNAs. And this new batch featured several major updates, which included exposed framing, different bogies, the ability to carry a wider range of flask designs. And despite the reduction in nuclear power plants in the UK, these FNA-Ds can still be seen in much use across the UK as of today. And that's what you're seeing on these images going past, which Skyhook have been developing. So one thing to note, the Class 20-3 will appear in an unbranded Oxford blue livery to represent these locomotives. But everything else you're seeing there includes that detail that Skyhook have mentioned in the history there, and there's extra frames, the different bogies, and the unique flask designs there as well. So I don't have my usual mat to bounce ideas on, but I'd bounce it back to the chat. What are the thoughts for this pack? How are we feeling for Cargo Line Volume 5? I'm seeing a lot of love, and we've seen loads of love from the previous Cargo Line packs from the Skyhook teams. We know they've absolutely cooking with these packs. But yeah, these add a wonderful extra bit of gameplay, tons of extra wonderful scenarios, rolling stock, new timetables. Skyhook are the best for bringing routes up to life, and it really adds that extra element of liveliness to the routes that you have. No DRS branding. Yes, the Class 20 will appear in an unbranded Oxford livery. We do actually have a discussion later in it's something that I've got on my transcript for tonight, where we're going to dive into a little bit of a discussion about licensing, because I know it's something that we've been keen to talk about more in the community for a little while. But yes, you can see from the screenshots there that it should be clear. Evening, Rob. Good to see you here. We're not adding nukes to the game, but this will be a nuclear pack. Looking forward to Cargo Line Volume 5. Yeah, I think people care more about the 20 and the wagon, which is the main part of the pack. I mean, these packs do add that wonderful element of life, and we've seen wonderful things from Skyhook so far, so I'm looking forward to this new one. But actually, it's a good mention, Ronaldo fan in chat. Let's move on, because the next thing on my list is the Manchester Airport Commuter route from Alan Thompson Simulations. So what you're looking at in the background while I talk through this is, I believe it's 18 screenshots. So the roadmap article earlier today wouldn't have had all of these images because we can't overload the articles with too many. So you may see some images here that we're sharing today that are new. But these are new screenshots from the Manchester Airport Commuter route, and this is coming from the ATS team. So what you're looking at is 27 miles of track between Manchester Piccadilly and Alderley Edge. This route will include 2 key spines, a main line via Stockport and a style line via Manchester Airport, and it will converge at Wilmslow. Both these branches offer busy commuter traffic into Manchester and of the B network. Included with this is the Class 323 Northern and the Class 66, with additional layers for the Class 350, the 390, and the ScotRail Class 158. Now, there was some discussion on the Q&A thread earlier this afternoon, and just to elaborate from our mention in the roadmap article, there will be 2 timetables for this route that feature different timings. So one will be a weekday timetable, and one will be a Sunday timetable. So this is similar to how we did it with the San Bernardino line, if you remember, for that with the release of Train Sim 5. There will be a significant difference between the 2 traffic levels, but that's because obviously they reflect different times. Obviously one during the weekday, which is busier, and one on the Sunday. So this is not, I think some people were worried about the mention of 2 timetables. This is not anything to do with limitations on the add-on or disparities between platforms. This is simply what will be included with the add-on from the ATS team as well. So I'm seeing a lot of excitement. I know some people are really fantastic feedback from some of these images, and I know a lot of you are really interested to see this. Just a couple extra notes. You will find the Manchester Piccadilly station. There is a full concourse, including a fully explorable Metrolink and taxi rank areas. And there will be many model depots along the route, including at Ardwick, Longsight, Manchester International, and at Stockport sidings. So the timetable is going to make a good use of those depots, and it will make sure that every aspect of the work are undertaken for multiple movements to shunting, coupling, wash and fuel runs as well. There'll be tons of action on this, and I think a lot of people are really excited for this as well for the release. When's it coming out? We don't have a release date shared and confirmed just yet, but you can expect it very soon because when we brought it back to the roadmap, we moved it into the 0 to 3 months category. So it is coming very soon. We aren't able to commit to the exact date just yet. But what I will mention as well is that this is currently a Gen 9 only route, so that will include obviously PC platforms, Steam and Epic Games, but it will be Steam, Epic Games, PS5, and an Xbox Series S and X. So no Gen 8 for this. Now, we did have some older screenshots. I don't have them in this current rotation because these are all the new ones. But there were some that really show the new planes that we've recently added as well, and it shows them in so many details. And we've also had previous roadmaps. If you want to take a look back through May and through April, we've had screenshots which really focus on the station itself. And you get some more screenshots of that, and you can see just in the photo just on screen now, you've got a plane there coming up. But you've got some more screenshots that focus on the station. Amaze states, how many playable services? I don't have that information to hand. I will see if I can find that out, so I'll make a quick note of that. But from what we've shared today, we haven't dived into that just yet, and we may save that for the coming soon articles that we do a little bit closer to the time when we can confirm the release date. And Judy Hops, is Matt coming to join the roadmap stream on Tuesday? The roadmap stream on Tuesday in July. Oh, of course, we'll have our July roadmap stream. Now we've not confirmed the date publicly for that yet. But Matt should be coming to join us back as soon as he's able to. I don't want to put any confirmations in his mouth for him, but he's currently dealing with family issues at the moment, and he'll be back as soon as he can. I know he's sorely missed. He is such a joy to be on these streams, but you'll have to suffer with just me tonight. Cool. 900 services per the article today. Was it in the article? I haven't got it in my notes. If so, then I apologize. Let me see. I've got the roadmap open just here. It is 900 services. I apologize. Then yes, there will be over 900 playable services across 2 timetables. Of course, that's where we mentioned the timetables. I focused too much on the timetables. Thank you for that, Ratifus. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, so there will be 900 services across those 2 timetables, which is a fantastic amount of playable services. You're doing good. Keep it going. I'm going to blame the heat rather than Matt's absence, but Matt would be here. He would be poking me through this. Not David Trains. I personally won't be at the Greatest Gathering, but Dovetail Games would be. We'll get to that a little bit later. There are more things to touch on. So why don't we continue? If you have any more questions for Manchester Airport, feel free to save them for just a good 20-30 minutes or so, and we can always come back to them. But let's dive through everything new that we've announced in June and discussed. And actually, we're going to move on to something brand new coming from the TSG team, and that is the Expert DBBR 101 on Castle Würzburg gameplay pack. Now, it's a bit of a mouthful of a name. I appreciate that. But this is obviously bringing the Expert DBBR 101, which is our first ever Expert loco onto Castle Würzburg, the route, with a new expanded timetable, exciting expert level scenarios, and we'll talk about what that means in a moment. 26 more playable services and over 1,200 new AI services to liven up the cities. And it will focus on IC traffic with the 101 Expert, but also new opportunities for the IC3 and the ICE1. So I talked a little bit about a new timetable, an expanded timetable. So I'll dive into what that means. You're going to get reworked freight layers. You're going to get IC trains and formations swapped out to better represent the 2018 timetable, including the addition of an ICT layer. The IC layer is completely different, with many more 101 and cab car-led services, including a few light loco runs where the LZB use is prohibited. There'll be a new Flix train layer with 2 BR193 services, and overhauled and added AI wherever the high-speed line passes or interacts with other lines. So that's what you can expect from the new timetable coming on Castle Würzburg in this gameplay pack. And this is from the TSG team. But I think a few of you, maybe your ears perked up a little bit with the expert level scenarios. So we've not dived into the super specifics of this because we're still saving us up for some follow-up articles as well. And there will be more information coming soon for this gameplay pack. But expert level scenarios are essentially, they're going to add that extra feature, that extra layer of gameplay. There's going to be a lot more things to expect in this, and I think this is going to be a really fun thing for us to show and tease and for you to experience with this pack. Now, a couple things we've shown already or we've talked about is that there's going to be a rescue scenario where the ultimate stopping precision is required. There's going to be wrong line running around track closures, and I believe this involves a broken down train. There's going to be voice over lines to support the new scenarios, and there's going to be Bethel documents on the cab desk as well. So it's going to be really exciting, and I'm sure we'll go into more details about the exact specifics, and hopefully when we get to the kind of level of preview streams and showing more of this pack when we're ready to, it should really help show what these new scenarios will really bring to the gameplay. But for now, you'll just have to take that word for it for the time being. But the TSG team are really excited about this. They know they're going to add new levels of gameplay, written orders. They've made lots of changes to the scenery, and they've said that we can't wait for you to experience this fun gameplay and new additions with the pack. So this should be really exciting. And just as a note, you will obviously with this pack need Castle Würzburg, so the Schnellfahnstrecke Castle Route add-on, and you will need the Expert DBBR 101 add-on as well. So this gameplay pack doesn't come with them, but obviously it supports the two of them as per the name. So that's really fantastic. And again, TSG, I know they're another one that a lot of people get really excited for. I'm just looking at the chat. When will you look at the Corn Arc and timetable? We'll come to the Corn Arc and timetable shortly, but we have got some more news about PS5 and Epic. It is coming very soon. Let's see. The Snellfashtracker Corn route is the best. There's Wesley. Very excited for this. I'm excited for this. I think some of the things I've been described about the expert level scenarios are they sound really fun. They sound like something that we've never done before as well. So it should be really fantastic. How much is this going to cost? I don't believe, and I'll say this again, I don't believe we've announced how much this one's going to cost, but someone will probably say that it was in the roadmap article earlier. But no, we haven't announced this. We'll be following up with more details from this over the coming weeks, and we'll be working towards preview streams and more information in coming soon articles as well. So I've seen a couple of questions in the chat. We're gonna keep rolling through the new announcements today, but just a couple ones to touch on. Are there any sales soon? We can't formally announce sales before they begin, but just keep an eye out. The sales tend to be, at least some every month, and at least generally every few weeks. There's always something going on that we're trying to support. Any updates on the Santa Fe pack? We'll get to that. We'll continue. We'll do all the questions at the end because I think they're going to just touch on the things we're going to talk about anyway. So, right. We're going to stay with TSG because we've got more details for the BR194 and E94 Railtour pack. If you've not heard about this, this is featuring two new locos, the BR194 and the E94088, which is a new passenger coach. It will have a new freight wagon. There'll be a new 1984 timetable and new scenarios for Linke Rheinstrecke, as well as new scenarios for Felshischer Ludwigsbahn. This is a Gen 9 only pack from TSG as a note, but you will get a whole range of rolling stock. As we mentioned, you get the 194, you get the E94088 Railtour loco, you get the B4YG passenger coach, you get the GBS freight wagon, all of those four are new. But also in the pack, you get the ES50 freight wagon. You also get the Fons and DBB livery as well. In terms of the gameplay, we mentioned the 1984 timetable for Linke Rheinstrecke, but you also get two scenarios for Mannheim, two scenarios for Left Rhine, and the E94 Railtour will be used in various upcoming timetables for Railtour services too. So this is something we've already announced. This is something coming from the TSG team. We don't have any new information today to share, but it's one of the ones that we wanted to remind everyone of if you've not had a chance to see it. And we wanted to highlight this again because it is coming very soon. And we will be following up with more information on this pack, the E94 the BR194 and E94 Railtour pack from TSG will be following up with this tomorrow in a brand new article, which is going to share more information about what you can expect. So look out for more information tomorrow on this pack. But I know a lot of you are keen on the expert pack as well with the expert scenarios, so you'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. But I have got something really exciting to show, and that is another final update from the TSG team. And given that it's June and that it's Pride Month, this is something that will be coming for free to all owners of the Expert DBBR 101 Loco add-on. And this is the Rainbow, the Railbow livery. This is the Take Pride because they've created the 101066 in its special Railbow livery. This is obviously from a real locomotive in real life, and it'll be a free update to all existing owners as a little bonus add-on for those of you that own the Expert DB 101 and IC Stewart Wagon Loco add-on. So I thought that's wonderful. It's another thing to add in, and it shows the TSG team, they're really cooking. They're adding so much to the game, which is fantastic. And it's a perfect month to celebrate Pride as well. Right, let's keep it moving before we get to more questions. There's a couple more we want to update on. I know someone was asking about the Santa Fe pack. So these are all of the previous screenshots we've shown for the Santa Fe pack. Now this is the Santa Fe gameplay pack for Cajon Pass, coming from High Iron Simulations. And we've talked about this for a few months now, but it is coming very, very soon. So as a quick re-summary, this is going to add Santa Fe railroading of the early 1990s to the Cajon Pass route. You get the two locomotives, which you'll see on screen, the AT and SF EMT SD40, and which you can see in the blue and yellow freight colors. And you also get the Santa Fe GE C48W in the war bonnet livery. And that will be coming up, I think, on some of the next few photos. And that one is really stunning. You'll also get 3 all new types of freight cars. You'll get a Santa Fe 2-bay cement covered hopper. You'll get a Santa Fe 3-bay ribbed side covered hopper. You'll get the iconic 86-foot auto parts box car as well, some of which you're seeing currently cycling through screens. And there you go, there's the war bonnet Santa Fe livery. So this will come with timetable services. There'll be player drivable services featuring intermodal and freight trains, switching locals services, and they're based on actual Union Pacific and ATSF freight schedules from the 1990s too. So this is a really exciting pack coming from the High End Simulations team. We haven't got more information to share today, but it's a good reminder because it is coming very soon. And another one we want to remind you all about is the Class 86. So this is coming from the Just Trains team. And I know many of you are extremely keen on this pack because we've shared our coming soon article. We haven't shared a release date for this one yet, but we have confirmed that it is coming for Xbox One Series S and X, PlayStation 4 and 5, Epic Games and Steam for £20, so 19.99 or 24 euros, 24.99 euros. Or $24.99. So we have confirmed the price on this one, and it is coming very, very soon. And in this, of course, you can see the new BR Class 86 loco in the background. This is supporting gameplay on the West Coast Mainline Preston Carlisle route, but also includes the new MK2F coaches in the BSO, TSO, and FO variants. As well as this, you also get the feature coach of the Class 86, which is the BR MK1 R&B buffet car. Now, I was looking into some of the stuff they wrote in the article last week for this. So the R&B stands for the Restaurant Miniature Buffet. And in this, you'll get a coach where there's a visible seating area. It's been replaced with a small buffet, and we should have it coming up in one of these images. You get a bit of seating area kind of on either side with of this coach. And the thing that's interesting about this is behind the operating rolling shutter, you actually get a fully stocked area with a various supply of top quality curly sandwiches. I'm reading this verbatim from what we've been provided from Just Trains. So you get a great variety of top quality curly sandwiches, fresh pork pies, a bag of crisps, soft drinks with flavors such as apple, orange, and berries. So you get all of that extra detail they've added in there. Let's see if we can find, did we just cycle past it? Where is the buffet car? Oh, it must be in my image selection. No, do I not have it cycling through? I'll see if I can dig it up. I know a lot of people are very keen on this. But this is coming from the Just Trains team, and again, I think everyone's been looking forward to the Class 86 soon. We don't have a release date just yet. It's Mark 1. Sorry, it's Mark 1. Sorry, I know I've been called out on that before. I feel like is the MK When you get the kind of MK shortening, is it always Mark, or is there some times where MK makes more sense? Or should it always be Mark and then a number? And that's the typical BR sandwich. Yeah, I've heard famous stories about the typical sandwiches. And the healthiest of quality foods coming in the buffet car. Looking forward to that one. I'm really glad. I mean, the Just Trains team have been cooking with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone jump in and play it. I'm looking forward to trying to do some live streams with it and maybe do a little bit of livery designer with it. It's always Mark. Okay, well, good to know. Good to know. I apologize. I think it was the last roadmap that a few people said that I was saying it wrong, and it's probably been a few roadmaps in a row where everyone was maybe screaming into their pillow about that. Well, you should know. Yeah. Okay, so that was everything that we've announced in this roadmap. So we've obviously touched on the Santa Fe pack, the Class 86, and the BR194 pack. So those were three that we've already announced. We just wanted to re-summarize and kind of reheat because they're coming very soon. But we did have three new announcements today with the new pack from TSG, the Cargo Line Nuclear from Skyhook Games, as well as our own pack for the HSP46, as well as new screenshots from the Manchester Airport Commuter. So we're going to continue on. I've got a couple notes here. Last month we shared a couple more updates. So if you haven't played in since May, we've had a couple major improvements for the mild May line, which included visual fixes and improvements. We've added 5 new liveries for the Class 87 on West Coast Mainline Preston Carlisle, and the ICM Koplopper from Zwolle Groningen, and the Class 150 from Cardiff City also had audio tweaks, but I believe there are more for the 150 we'll talk about later as well, about audio changes coming soon. But earlier in June as well, we had a substantial patch with a bunch of improvements. Across the board, various add-ons were included, but there were some core quality of life changes in there as well, including memory improvements to scenarios during gameplay as well. So if you haven't played in a little while, we have had some pretty substantial updates to various add-ons, so you can check those out in our announcements section as well. But if you've been with us the whole time, our next patch is kind of lining up around the early July area. We haven't confirmed the date of this yet, and we'll kind of need to confirm that a little bit closer to the time. But what we're planning to line up with this patch is the Colne Archon timetable improvements, which we've been working on for PlayStation 5 and Epic Games players. Now, these were updates to the timetable that brought a vast new amount of playable services. I think it bumped it up to over 4,000. AI services included in that as well. So total services, I think about 600 of which were playable. Now, players on Steam, on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they've already had these updates, including Xbox Series S and X. But PlayStation 5 and Epic Games, we need to do additional testing. So that hopefully is concluded now, and we're looking to align it with our next update in early July. In that update, there will be various other improvements to add-ons. We're looking to do some more core memory improvements where we can. And that's a constant ongoing improvement that we're looking to make where we can as well. And we'll touch on some other questions we've got coming down the line, because I know there was one other thing we're trying to plan for this early July period, which was the 150 audio improvements. But I'll dive into that a little bit more. First up, I want to touch on the community corner section. So I've got a couple things in here we'll dive into. Now, obviously it's June. I think it's June 10th. We would usually do roadmaps as early as we can throughout the month, but it's June 10th, so if you haven't already checked that out, there are some monthly mastery challenges available to do now, which involve a bit of conductor mode gameplay. They involve a little bit of doing some timetable with hot temperatures, which you could argue today is one of those days where it's over 20 degrees. But the main thing I think that people will be interested in hearing about is that we're going to the Greatest Gathering. Now, if you haven't heard about this, it's a huge event where they're hosting a 3-day festival at Alstrom's Derby, Litchurch Lane Works. It's going to feature more than 50 iconic vehicles from the past, present, and future of railways, and it's going to mark the first time in almost 50 years that the rolling stock factory has been open to the general public. What you're looking at here is a screenshot that we provided to kind of mimic this. But this is going to be an event that's from Friday the 1st to Sunday the 3rd of August, and Dovetail Games will be making an appearance. We'll be at the STEM Hub. We're going to be hosting 2 separate booths. And this is going to be available for people, for Train Sim World members of the public to be able to come in and enjoy. We have a couple consoles that will be set up and you'll be able to kind of jump in. There'll be other train driver simulations as well, including a Class 700 style control desk with real controls. You'll be able to come in, say hello to some of the people in Dovetail there running the stands, and try out some of the simulators while you're at the event. And it should be a fantastic day. It's worth noting this event has been sold out at this point as of today. But if you have tickets, if you're already planning to go, then be sure to come and say hi, because the team will be there and they'll be looking forward to seeing you. I got any freebies? Unfortunately, I don't, Amaze Days. I'm sorry, we don't have any freebies to give out. But it should be a fantastic event for those of you that are on the way. And again, there are members of the team going. They'll be looking forward to seeing you there. So be sure to say hi. Be sure to say that. I personally won't be going. There are some other things in August that I'll be maintaining, and I think I've got a little bit of holiday leave around that time as well. So that brings us to the end of kind of what we shared on the roadmap. But there are a lot of questions. So now this section I've kind of dedicated as well, we don't have Matt, so what else do we have? Well, we have questions, and I've been able to talk with many members of the team at Dovetail. And there's a couple of discussions I want to open up. Some of them are about projects being in limbo. Some of them are about some of the highlights we've had this year from the releases. Some of them focus on how we acknowledge game issues and could we have like public trackers and community spaces. And some of them also dive into licensing. But I've got a big old list, and between those discussions, there's a few questions I want to dive into that some people have been asking via our forums thread. And then I'll ask them some questions from the live chat as well. And we'll keep it more chill. So before we dive into that though, I'll just check. There's nothing more in the chat from anyone regarding some of the stuff we talked about. When is the next London Underground route? We haven't announced anything more in the London Underground scene. Licensing. We're going to talk a little bit about licensing. It was a question that someone in the forums thread asked. And I'll dive into that, but we'll come back to some live questions momentarily. I want to go through and thank everyone that did throw questions in our Q&A thread. We do our best to look through these. We answer as much as we can. There is a limit to what we can talk about, but of course we do our best to try and answer and be honest and be truthful with everyone in the community spaces as well. So this first question is from Dow. They asked the Malmö extension, have we got any news? So there isn't any news that we've shared yet, but I know personally that Johannes is working very passionately on this in the background. We'll be sharing more news when we can, but this is one of the few things that I think a lot of people are asking about that we haven't got any more news on. This includes the GWE remaster. I can see a couple mentions in the chat. This includes the 420 as well. I can see mentions of that in the chat as well. We don't have any news. If there wasn't anything more on the roadmap, you can assume everything is continuing fine, but we've just not got anything specifically new that we want to highlight, or that it's coming soon. This will also include for Just Trains' TFW Class 142. There's no more news this month, but thank you for the question anyway, Sophie Clark from the forums. And now we've got one from Lackey. So they've talked about All Aboard Studios. They're wondering what their new unannounced route is on the roadmap graphic. If we quickly pop over to that, you can see on the right, you've got the unannounced route from All Aboard Studios there. Now, we haven't announced this, but I know personally from speaking with Dan at All Aboard Studios and his team there, I know he's extremely excited to share more when we can. You'll just have to wait a little bit longer on this because I know the community are really keen to know what this is. We had a little bit of a teaser, and I think a few people may have guessed what that teaser is implying. But this is something that we'll have to share at a later point, but I know many of you are really keen on this. So we'll follow up soon when we're ready. Now, tracking trains. You've asked a question I want to dive into with a little bit more detail. And this is core patches to improve performance. Have we got more of these? So we've had a few patches to look at specific routes and performance over certain add-ons for the last few months. We've had about a good cadence of an update every couple of weeks for the last 3 to 4 months now, or at least since the new year. And these can vary between small changes to certain routes to reducing the draw distances or improving the draw distances and shadows and various specifics about routes. But in terms of core changes, we've had a couple in January and June that either reduce the memory footprint or make minor improvements during scenarios. But this is a larger discussion. This is a larger conversation we're working on. The team are continuing to work hard on these changes to the core game. I know Matt has personally spoken about it on our previous roadmap streams at least every month to kind of update you as to where we're at. As of right now, the teams are still continuing to prioritize this. This isn't something that we've dropped. This isn't something that this is something that we're continuing to follow up with every month and every week. The priority is to make sure that gameplay is as smooth as possible, that we reduce crashing, we reduce stuttering, we reduce we make sure that FPS and performance is the smoothest it can be. But it is ongoing work. So this continues. We've got an update coming out in July. I've not seen a full patch list for this, but if there's any more core improvements that we've had a chance to make, they will be added to that update, and we can update you more close to the time once we've got a confirmed list on that. But I appreciate the question. We got one from MJCKP here. So someone's asked a rough timeline for when cooking in the editor will be fixed. I know it's on the team's radar. I actually had an update from chatting with the team earlier today, and we're looking to get other changes and improvements for the editor coming soon, but we just need to confirm when that slots in. So we've obviously got this update coming out in early July. It's whether we can align it to that update or whether it needs to be its own separate push or not. So we're still trying to work out. But I appreciate you checking in on this. I don't have anything to confirm just yet, but like I said, we're looking to try and line it up with that time, and I'll have to get back with you for more on that. Now, tracking trains again, you asked, will Caltrain carry over to other iterations of TSW for those that currently have it? So when we shared our news in the February update for Caltrain, we mentioned in that message that you will be able to enjoy the official Caltrain branded content for the current version of Train Sim World that you are playing. So as of today, there is no change to this stance. We've not had any follow-up mentions. We've not had any new news to this. So our teams will continue to understand and work with how that license agreement changes, or if it does change at all with Caltrain. But I would assume those previous words to still remain true today. And one last thing from yourself tracking trains on the forums thread, which was the Class 158 timetable. So our testing teams have this. It's currently on our list to line up and point towards an update, but it's not something we've been able to do at this point yet. But the current aim is for this to come out alongside the July update. So again, there'll be an update ideally within the first couple of weeks of July. And the plan is to try and line up that class, the Skyhook 158 timetable, those updates alongside it. Again, we've not had full change list back from the dev teams yet, but that is the intention, and we'll let you know how that goes. Now, D-Heel, you've asked about GW Remaster, we've not had any news. And one from Old Vern that you asked about Tadami Line. So the Union Workshop team are still working really hard on this route. We've not had anything new to share, but progress is continuing really well. Just because we've not shared anything new doesn't mean there isn't anything we can share about it. I know when we announced it last year, it was at a very early stage of development. It's continued on really well since. We don't have anything new to share in terms of screenshots wise, but it would just be more scenery and images environments if we did. But it's come a long way since then, and we're almost ready to start talking about it, but we'll let you know when we are. But just know that that continues well. The Union Workshop team is still doing a lot of great work on it, and I can't wait to show you more because it's going to be fantastic when we can bring Japan to Train Sim World. And I know you also mentioned about the Peak Forest Class 104. There's no more news on this one as of today. But one thing I wanted to touch on was a discussion topic, and this is the first of the few discussions I want to really dive into. And it was the process of how we have multiple announced projects, and some of them feel like they're in limbo. And I think it's really good feedback because we're moving into a world where we have more and more third parties kind of joining in and getting involved in the cycle of producing add-ons and talking about what they're working on, and kind of like some are in the phases of teasing up projects and some are in the phases of kind of like already talking about them and releasing them and supporting them with post-release updates. So you've got kind of a huge breadth of various different things happening all at once. And I mean, for the likes of say TSG, for example, in this roadmap, they've currently got in just this update today, they've got a pack that was already announced that's still to come out. They've got a brand new announcement, and then they've got a further announcement of an update to an existing add-on. So you've kind of got some teams which are just handling the release of their first add-ons into Train Sim World, and you've got other teams which are managing multiple and kind of the different stages of development. But just in terms of projects in limbo, I want to talk a little bit about the process we generally take. And so we obviously start with an announcement. At some point down the line, we'll open up and say, hey, there's a new project coming, whether we'll do it in the same way that we've done with All Aboard Studios, where we do a teaser and we say there's an unannounced route, or whether we just come out and announce something fully first. there will be an announcement of some form. And in the next update, we'll generally follow up with new images. And I think this is the timeline. Once you've made that announcement and you've had some images, this is the block of time where it can be a little bit confusing. And I think from reading messages from the community, it's sometimes clear to see this, that depending on the scope of the project, it's unclear sometimes of how long you have to wait between you've had that first announcement, you've had those first images, to when there's more to show, to when we're closer to release and coming soon articles and release dates and preview streams. And that can vary wildly. And again, that can be various reasons. It can just be the nature of the project itself. It's a big project, and that sometimes working on it takes a little bit more time compared to smaller projects, for example. But I think the main thing I want to really dive into with this is that maybe that the actual planning of that scope isn't always consistent. Developers may think, say, something would take a month, and when you get down to actually working through it, it takes a month and a half, or it needs that extra half month of testing that you didn't expect. Or, once we're working with developers, we want to ensure that its performance is okay, because we have tighter constraints of performance to make sure that works better across all platforms. And so we'll go back and we'll work with developers to make sure that everything's optimized correctly. None of this is, well, all of this is stuff that can maybe not be factored into that initial estimate of when we want to be sharing news and how we're following that up. And I'll agree that I think in the case of Manchester Airport Commuter, it's a fantastic route coming from the Alan Thompson sim. Is everything talking about is more just the case of it's a good example. But we actually brought this off the roadmap. So we announced it in the season of reveals back in December, and it actually came off the roadmap while we were trying to determine exactly where this came out. And then we bring it back into the roadmap, and it's ready in the 0 to 3 months category. Now, from my side and from the team that work with the roadmap very closely, we're doing our best to make sure that when something moves to that 0 to 3 months, you can expect it coming soon. The idea is that if it comes into that section, it's like, okay, it's in a 0 to 3 month section. I know that if I add 3 months to my watch right now, the add-on's in my basket. That's the intent. It doesn't always go that way, and sometimes things shift. We can't always predict that, but for the most part, that is the intent. For everything else that lives in the to be confirmed section, it's worth noting that there will always be a certain element of volatility that could come with this. We'll share updates that we can regularly in roadmaps, but we're going to try and do our best to make sure we set that expectation correctly. But like I said, I think projects can look like they're scoping really fast in terms of development. They can build up the route, you build out the loco, we start talking about them, and then maybe the testing phase lasts 2 or 3 times longer than you assumed it would. Then it feels like you've gone quiet, but really it's just the nature of the project. So I think it's good feedback. I wanted to acknowledge that, and I appreciate the mention, Oldburn, but I think this is where the kind of in limbo phase and that kind of feeling comes from. And I think there's a certain element of when we have roadmap updates, sometimes we just share previous screenshots that we've shared before, or previous information we've shared before. It's because we have to check everything through with our licensing team, and we have to make sure that everything we've got ready for a roadmap is approved in time. Obviously, I've got time to be able to put it into an article and share it with you all. There is a process that happens kind of underneath the hood. And sometimes that means, well, we want to keep the conversation about certain add-ons going, but we don't have anything new to share. And we want to make sure the teams feel supported enough that are working on, say, these projects like the Skyhook team, the TSG team, the Just Trains team, for example. I thought it's worth describing that process a little bit. I hope that hopefully gives you a little bit more insight into what we do. But that was one of the things I wanted to discuss off the back of your comment in the Q&A thread. Yeah, it was in the 0 to 3 months last month, so hoping for 0 to 2 months. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll share the announcement of the release date very soon. But we moved it back to 0 to 3 months last month. It is coming very soon, we'll confirm that when we can. So I've got a couple more questions before we get to the next discussion topic. One of them was regarding the Bakerloo line hopping points, and another one from New York Trenton Signal Fixer. So this was from Aeronautic and Anthony Pecoraro. I just wanted to acknowledge that these 2 points were mentioned. I'll check in with the team on these because I don't think we've got any updates that we have to share yet, but I would like to know our own progress on this. So it's something that I've noted down. I'll take it to the teams and find out more. But Dion, I know you're in the chat as well. With the 150 audio updates, So it's actually something that I was able to talk with our dev team. We had a little bit of a community catch up with dev as well earlier today. We do have a plan to get that ready and prepped by the end of this month. And hopefully that means we'll be able to line it up as a candidate for July's update. And again, we're lining it up for possibly the first week or two of July. Again, neither the update nor the audio things have been seen and locked and confirmed as, yes, we've got them ready to ship and they're done, but that's the intent. So appreciate the mention on the 150 audio there. That's the plan. We'll let you know how it goes, but hopefully if nothing changes, fingers crossed, you should be able to see them in that update too. I've got a question here from Irv, or Irv. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is about the Cajon arc and timetable for PS5 and Epic Games. And really just a question of why it was different. I think this is there's a couple reasons for this. But firstly, obviously I wanted to mention that these updates are coming in that early July update. That's the intent. But these two platforms did require us to test a little bit further. This was mostly a matter of scope, but also because when we did our initial set of testing back in May with the other releases, we came to a point where we either hold back the update for everyone and then ship them all together in one batch at a later point, or we let players on Steam and on Xbox in early while we work on PS5 and Epic. And it's not always the easiest decision. Sometimes it's nicer to share an update all at once. But we felt that we didn't make sense to hold back players when we had the work finished for the Cajon arc and timetable on Steam and on Xbox. So we decided to let them go first. And it's worth noting that different platforms require different builds. So I would usually hand over to Matt for questions like this because he has the more dev insight. But there is unique builds for each platform of the game, whether you share it on PlayStation or Xbox or Epic Games or Steam or PC. They all require different testing. In the same way that you may have a bug on Xbox that isn't present on PC, you have different discrepancies between these versions of the game. So this is kind of the reason why PlayStation and Epic is not just hitting the same button as getting Cajon arc and ready on, say, Steam and Xbox. But we had to make that decision, and we chose the one that allowed people to still be able to enjoy the content rather than hold it back unnecessarily. But thankfully, it's coming very soon, so it shouldn't be too long. You have to wait before you can get into that update. You're doing your best. Cool. I appreciate you all, folks. So another discussion that I wanted to come to here was actually raised by a couple of people. One of them was Samuel Power 2001, and the other was CK Pop. Or CCOP 64. And this was a little bit kind of talking about some of the highlight releases. So one of them from Samuel was, what are the latest fixes that we've shared? And we talked about that earlier. But what has been the defining release of the year so far? And from CCOP, how do we reflect on the releases of Swallow and Frankfurt S-Bahn? Because they mentioned in their post that they personally find his routes stellar and excellent, and what does that mean for the quality bar and how we're improving routes since. So I'm kind of combining these together because I think they kind of do talk very similarly. And I think it's safe to say that we've had many defining releases this year. I'm going to speak kind of in terms from the Dovetail side, but a little bit from a personal side as well. But Zwolle and Frankfurt, from the work I do in the community team and seeing everyone's reactions, engaging the sentiment data that we get in, and seeing the review scores, it's safe to say that these were really fantastic releases, especially from Zwolle Groningen. This was the first ever route we've had in the Netherlands, and it's phenomenal. It had absolutely amazing review scores. I think it's currently a 90% on Steam, which is brilliant. We know the community were extremely happy with this release. And it's not just a brand new country. We've also had wonderful reactions across the board, and we've seen some of the best performing releases come from this. And I think Frankfurt S-Bahn was a very similar. There's been so much love for this route. And I think for a lot of people picking it up, it really is just that fantastic, huge amount of timetables and huge amount of content that's been really exciting, and they've been really hyped for that release since. So those have been really big impacts on the community, and they've both been relatively recent releases. Performance, at least on Frankfurt's side, still remains something that as a team we're looking at, but from general community reactions for S-Bahn, they were really good, and it was a really strong release. And so, okay, we take the okay, what went well, and now we move it to, well, what are we doing about it as a company? The first thing is to take on board the feedback. We know they both did brilliantly in their own aspects, but we need to understand the best parts of this and then take that and understand what that really meant and how can we repeat that. Because it's not just a success point of view. These are also some of the releases that from a community point of view, and when we see people talking about them, at least from for the last recent examples, these are some of the best experiences they've had in Train Sim World in the last few months. And so, that's something that we want to repeat as well. We want to give that great feeling and give that good experience as best as we can. But it's worth saying that we know that there's frustrations. So in the sense of Frankfurt S-Bahn, there was a lot of conversation and there was a lot of difficulty with the timetable differences between the PC and the consoles. And that was due to the performance of the route. And we know on Zwoller's side that some people were struggling because we didn't have a PDF manual for the release. And it's good for us to hear this and take this on because it makes us think that when we, in the case of creating a manual for a new route, it's not something that we can do for every release, but we know in the case of Zwolle, if we'd had it, it would have been that extra thing to kind of take it to a new level. So we know what that difference is, and we know that if we want to target as best as we can, we know what we do and we can learn from these releases. So I think we have an absolutely fantastic range of content coming out. These are only a couple really niche examples that were mentioned in the community. I think it's also worth mentioning the success of Cardiff City Network, which was another new country for Train Sim World, which has done fantastically. I think it had great reviews as well. It was a brand new place for us to visit. I think we did a great campaign for it, and I think a lot of people were really enjoying it. And I think, to be honest, for the people that enjoy it, the Thomas and Friends add-on that we shared from both the 80th anniversary pack as well as the first Thomas and Friends visit the West Somerset Railway, they've really opened up a brand new community that we've started to welcome into Train Sim World. And at least, again, kind of selfishly speaking from my point of view, looking closely at communities and how people talk about the game, I know maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for the people who it is their cup of tea, it's the right kind of flavor tea. It's been, we've seen some wonderful feedback, and I think for like a lot of the Thomas community, it's been a really positive win in a lot of ways. So that's been really fun. And just to speak personally, favorite of mine has been the mild May line. I mean, the entire journey of speaking with Johannes and working as and kind of working with him to create this interview of a solo developer, bringing up this route, I think was fantastic. I think the route landed brilliantly. I know I did that kind of How to Train Your Dragon livery on the Class 710 that came alongside it as well. I just think it was a fantastic release. It's one that I'm personally, I absolutely love. And it was a brilliant journey to document, I think, through the community spaces in our roadmaps as well. So that's one that I personally love. But I would put the question and kind of ask, how was everyone else? For some of the highlights of the recent releases, what is it about those releases that really make you love it the most? Is it about the content? Is it about the experience? Is it about like the extra things that go alongside it? And we can all learn from that. But I think it's a nice discussion to have. But I appreciate the questions. And again, that was from CCOP64 and Samuel Power. So appreciate the discussion. I think it's really lovely to have. And, we're taking on that feedback and working it as best we can. Hello. Appreciate everyone joining in. So yeah, sorry, if you haven't seen Matt, unfortunately, Matt has not been able to join us tonight. He's got some family emergency that he's working on. He has updated us via the forums and saying that everything is looking good. It's okay. It's nothing to worry too much about from the community's sake. But he's not able to join us tonight, and he'll be back as soon as he can be. But for now, you're stuck with me on I think someone said it was 16 degrees. I would love a cool 16 degrees. It's currently 19 degrees here, so cooking a little bit more. So we got another one coming in as well. This is from Cool Barco. So this basically talks about, was the UK gameplay pack in the May roadmap? Was this the Thomas 80th pack? So the answer to this is yes, but it also equally could have represented the Grump Dog Games GWR gameplay pack as well. So I can understand there was a little bit of confusion there. But what we've done is we've updated this month's roadmap graphic, which I'll just throw up on screen again here. And you can see that everything is clearly there. So this is all the stuff that, again, is still yet to release. But you can make that distinction a little bit differently now. And something I want to talk about more, and I wouldn't mind people in the chat, if you're interested in the discussion too, feel free to share your opinions. This is a discussion coming from Cool Barco as well. And this is really touching on the community shared issues list. And essentially, It's can we acknowledge game issues in a public list, in a shared list? And it's actually something that we've had this discussion internally, and we've tried to figure out what is the best way of doing this if we want to do this. And it's kind of it brings positives, but it also brings confusion. And I think that's the area that we're really cautious about stepping into. Um, and I think some of that is due to the fact that obviously with Train Sim World we have a huge range of content. You know, for any other game or studio or simulator out there, generally speaking, you've got a core game, you've got a core that exists, and then you'll have DLC to support that core. And it kind of builds on top of that core in like a linear way. And so you can easily have roadmaps and you can have public Trello boards because those issues either stem from the core or they stem from, you know, a DLC that adds on top of the core, again, in a very linear path. And so, you know, everyone looking at that board is like, okay, this is something that benefits me, or if I buy this DLC would benefit me on top of that core in this very clear, definable way. Train Sim World is more of a net, is more of a net of many things. So the way we have our add-ons that release with Train Sim World is that essentially you can kind of pick and choose what you like. And what we see is a lot of people from, say, the UK they'll pick up UK add-ons. They'll pick up content that they've been on. You know, let's say you've been on a wonderful journey and Blackpool Branches on the Pacer, and we all know how bouncy that thing is. You'll look at a Train Sim World add-on, you'll look at Blackpool Branches, and you'll be like, I want to pick this up because I've got that real world experience, I've got that real world nostalgia, and that, you know, you can relate to that. But, you know, we've also got German audiences that are very keen on German content, US audiences that are very keen on US content. I think that makes sense. Of course, you have players that kind of bounce between the geos and also want to explore new areas as well, like with things like Swallow Groningen. But what I think is key here is that that difference of prioritization has to make a play in this Trello board. So, you know, and I speak about Trello board, I mean just more like a public community issues tracker. And so now you've got to weigh in the different priorities that fall for different add-ons that that release across different geos. So you no longer have, okay, I've got an issue, I've got a bug with the game, and I've got a DLC on top of it, and you know it all applies. In our case, you may have a bug on a UK piece of content, you may have an issue on a German piece of content, you may have an issue on a US piece of content. If I told you we can only fix one of these, which is it? You can never make every group of populace happy. Not every group of players coming to Train Sim World equally dive into equal sets of add-ons in the same way. And so that's kind of issue one. I think it's understanding how do we prioritize this. The other part of this, I think, is we do have a way of prioritizing, but it may not be the way you think. And it's because we have very specific priorities we have to take into account first. And these can be mostly platform limitations, but various things as well. So just to say a few examples, we have commitments when we release games on certain platforms that include our titles having, say, certain scenarios and tutorials working or achievements that work. You know, they may have localization or store things, things on the store pages that fundamentally need to be fixed in order for us to be fulfilling our contract with the various platforms. And so, you know, let's say we had a bug that meant that the wheels were blurring on, say, a certain loco on a certain route. Or, for example, like the textures get blurry on certain platforms, you know, which our team are looking at. But we also have this commitment to certain platforms that we have to prioritize at an equal or even a higher level many times. So it makes it difficult because our teams have to weigh that up. And so we've got to what we actually have internally is a regular meeting. And it's something that I'm involved with various members of the community team and also our support teams that look at support tickets we get in, but also members from the dev team. And we kind of have this meeting to assess, okay, what is going into the next patch? What are we lining up? And we use that as our chance to say, here is the community top 10 issues. And here's what we've been seeing this week. You know, we've looked in community forums or we've had a roadmap live stream and I've seen these mentioned. And we'll use that as our way to say, this is what we would like to try and push into the next update that we can. And we would like the dev teams to focus on this. They will then take what we have in those meetings and then they'll kind of add those on top of what they're already looking at. They'll add that on top of their existing priorities. Like I said, that will be things that have to take a certain level of priority in every update. And these could be supporting updates for new releases as well. There's a big jumble of things. But I think the thing that we come back to with this shared list is what are we trying to achieve with this? And if the intent of a shared community issues tracker is to achieve clarity on what we're working on, we want to make sure that that's actually what we're giving, because in many ways we don't want to be sharing confusion, because that would kind of defeat the point. So I think that's where it starts. We've had this discussion a couple times. We've never taken it to the level of actually sharing community issues list, but just for visibility, we have internal lists of community issues that we rank. We put top issues such as crashing as like critical things that we need to fix ASAP. Certain scenarios, achievements not unlocking are things that we try to look at as much as we can. But generally, I know one thing that's constantly in discussion is things like core performance issues. These are ongoing changes that we're constantly looking to weave into any kind of discussions we can and any updates we can. And the teams are working really hard. But I think in the last few months, we've really made more of an effort to focus on community issues where we're able to. And I think in the last update as well on June 2nd, we made a few hits of some key quality of life changes that I'm hoping are noticeable, and I'm hoping that you're seeing these changes as well. Bit of a big story there. I know it's one that everyone's keen to say, well, what are you working on at any given point? It shares clarity, but we've got to make sure that what we're sharing is clarity. And, you know, if we present you a public list, if that's actually what we're working on, because there may be other things coming up in the background that we're working on that take priority over that. So I hope that at least acknowledges the conversation. It is something that I think can work in many scenarios. There may be a way of us working on it, but it's worth having that debate. And if you have your own opinions on how we can do this best, I'm happy to hear them. You know, we've got the public forums we can share this discussion on, or you can feel free to drop a message in the YouTube chat and I'll take a look. But that's where that discussion at least starts. Cool. Okay, I've got a couple more questions. I think I'm on to 15 of about 18 that I had. And then we'll look at the live chat for a little bit, but I've appreciated everyone's time here tonight as well. Good to see you, Hentis, as well, Richie Rail. Is that an ironing board in the background? I wish. Well, maybe I don't wish. It's a piano. It's a keyboard, more specifically. I would love to say that I'm a wizard with the keyboard, but it's my partner. She's absolutely wonderful at playing the keyboard. Yes, yeah, you're right. Correct guess on the piano. It would be funny if it was an ironing board, though. Can you play the TSW theme on your piano? I definitely can't. User one, I definitely can't. This is definitely not something that's I'm capable of doing. Okay, so I've got one from Solicitor here. Any plans to overhaul passenger logic? So I know the teams are really keen on looking at passenger logic in further detail for more improvements. I don't have anything to share right now. But it is something that we've seen from various community mentions too, and we've seen them from community requests. So it's something that's on the radar. But like I said, nothing to share more on this at this time, but it's something that team are aware of. Open-minded, PC editor APIs. We haven't got any news to share on this yet, but from the previous chats I've had with Matt, I know he's keen to get these in very soon. I think we talked about possibly the end of June, possibly the middle of July. Maybe this can be something we align with the early July update, but I'd need to know more from Matt and the team on that. So I'll find out as soon as I can, but I appreciate your mention of it. Super Express Mizuho. Is there any patch in the work for the ES44C4's horn bug? Now I'm going to review the contents of the July patch and get back to you on a thread if I can. Again, I don't know what's in this update just yet, and I think the team is still kind of adding all the tickets to that. So we may not be able to confirm a final list until probably middle to late next week. So I'll let you know, but I don't know just yet without seeing that patch list. The shadows on the wall. Alex has ghosts. What shadows on the wall? Now I'm kind of afraid, Jason. What's going on? I need a session with Benjamin. I wish you could see how passionate Ben was at making this music. He is absolutely fantastic. Alex for Christmas, keyboard number 1. TSW lobby music, maybe something we could add into the training center. Oh gosh. Okay, let me touch on licensing stuff. So Calidor266, this is a question that you raised in the forums. And what you said was, in cases where a license is either withdrawn or it is unobtainable, do we make attempts to get that license back with the blessing to run unbranded trains on the line? Like, do we work to try and get unbranded trains added to the line when we can't get the license or whether it's removed? So I actually talked with our licensing team member, Estelle. She's absolutely fantastic. And so she gave us a little bit of a response here from kind of two sides. So I'm going to start with the first one. So if a license is withdrawn, We do all we can to retain the livery design, but without the registered trademark. And so some operators will allow us to do this, but sometimes they won't allow it too. This is because the livery can be distinct and the actual design on the livery itself can be part of that trademark. And if that's the case, then we need to create a fictional livery. I think the first example that comes to mind is the Island Line design. We had to create a slightly amended livery to support that. Something that's recognizable but can't infringe on that protected design. But if the license is unobtainable, then we will offer guidance to developers, so internal and external developers, on how much of that livery can be used without it being an identifiable brand. So the developers will often design a livery that will fit, that will accommodate those registered logos should we get permission later on. So obviously we work with our third-party teams, third-party team of developers on this as well. But if there's a chance that we can get that logo back, they're getting the right things prepared so that they can add it back on as well. If the livery design is very distinctive as well, we'd advise on a color or a minor design change. It eliminates the risk of copyright infringement, but so that it can also be modified that if we get permission, they can change back the livery color and change it back. So we always plan in mind with the idea to bring it back. I think a lot of the conversation of licensing and how we bring back licenses and how we have that discussion, it's very tricky, it's very in-depth. There's many layers to it. But we plan with the intention that we can get them all back so that when and if that does happen, we're ready to do so. It's worth noting that some developers also can create a fictional logo that fits and suits what's best as well. But I hope that offers a little bit of insight there as well, specifically on when licenses are either withdrawn or they're unobtainable. I'm noticing the shadows on the other side of the wall look more worrying. What's going on with the shadows? It could it just be my hands potentially? I don't know if I'm being memed a little bit. League Master JD, what's going on? And you guys are just having fun. It's JD's here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate that question, Calidor266. And just one final one on my list, at least from the forums Q&A thread. Someone, Amity Blights, you asked for news on the Mittenwald barn patches that we shared in our March roadmap. We actually did share these. We had an update that went out on March 13th. So these are already live, and you can see the update notes that we shared that included the mountain range on Xbox, draw distance being improved, as well as various things. I think there's also cows on the track. They were getting in front of some of the trains and kind of messing things up there. Yeah, these hopefully should be fixed. And let me know if you're not seeing these on the platform you're playing on. But you can check the update notes and you can take a look at that. But these should be live with you now. And that is the end of my, at least my list of information I've already drafted up. I hope you appreciate some of the discussion we had there, and I appreciate you folks staying on if it is warm where you are too. So I don't mind opening it to a bit of live Q&A now. What I will caveat and say this is that I don't have my Matt with me. In which case, if there's a development question or something that Matt I would usually lean on for, I may have to just make a note. So I've got my notepads up and ready. And I can follow up in the roadmap Q&A thread afterwards as well. But if there is anything, feel free to ask, and I don't mind having a small discussion here as well. It's been a lovely night. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. I've never run a roadmap stream by myself. It does feel a little bit lonely without having that to compare with. But, you know, everyone in the chat has been really lovely tonight. So I appreciate you all for sticking with me. Right, is there anything I've missed? Is there no update on the 86? So, yes, all the information we shared today was information that you should have already had since the Coming Soon article. So know that we don't have a release date, not to share today. But we have announced the price. We've shared more details about the pack. We've shared new screenshots. You should be able to find an article. But if you're looking for anything new since then, nothing new on the Class 86, we'll let you know as soon as we do have something. Any updates on the Peak Valley update? Nothing to share as of today. Nothing on that just yet. Canador266, great to see you in the chat. I hope I answered your question well enough about the licensing just there. It's nice to be able to recognize a name. I think some people have different usernames between the forums and on YouTube here, so it's sometimes hard to spot. But I appreciate you tuning in. When will you add the class 222 and the class 221 because you really want it? Henley's Gaming Club. There is a suggestions thread on the forums as well, but I'll keep it in mind. Well, I say I keep it in mind. Throw it in the suggestions thread, and you know our teams look at this. We've talked about this in the past. I won't dive into it too much right now, but the forums suggestions tab does play a key role in actually folding into what we consider for DLCs and how we actually manage that as well, both from a first and third party perspective. And as well, after the stream, you'll be rocking backwards and forwards in a chair, going no more. Is the rocking causing the shadows? Yes, indeed. Thank you above. I appreciate you tuning in. John McLeod, when will the passengers going to be fixed from Stratford to Wilson Junction? Because I don't get any more on my train. It's been like this for a very long time. I'm sure the teams are aware of this, but I'll bring it up in our next meeting and see if we have an update on this. So I appreciate you mentioning it, John, but I don't have anything to share as of today. Chief Longshin, is the industry euthanizing Gen 8? It's a strong word to use, but Gen 8 platforms, from what I've been aware of, they're old now. It's been many years since they've been released, and I think just the industry is constantly moving to newer and higher demanding tech. And I mean, you can even argue that the current Gen 9 consoles are starting to experience their years as well. Um, but I think, it's fair to say that there's been some very big developments in the last few years in tech and how games are run and performance. That really does add that extra level of memory being eaten and, affects the performance of these consoles that I don't think the Gen 8 consoles were ever intended to be able to battle with. So they still function very well. There is ways to keep that optimization as best as possible. I think the thing that we've always got to keep in mind is that there's a lot of people that have, say, Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s that, for the most part, can still run the games and run the content that we're able to produce and put out there. So we may as well tailor our content towards them as much as we possibly can. Because for the most part, without the need to upgrade, it saves people the money of buying new consoles. So um, I think the industry is just moving more in a way of just more tech means more things. And so that will naturally mean moving on to new consoles. Whether we'll get more news about potential Gen 8, Gen 10 consoles, who knows? Um, any update on GWE? James, nothing to share tonight, unfortunately. Just know work continues. There's no news is good news in this case. Work continues. We'll share more when we can. But I do look forward to sharing more when we can because I know a lot of you are really excited about that. I remember doing the reveals back in Take a Ticket for that, and it was really fun. I think a lot of people were really excited to see that remaster coming in. I hope there's a cold beer waiting for you after this, Alex. I don't drink beer. I'm a cider person, but there isn't a cider waiting. I think there's maybe an orange squash, possibly. Um, PS4 isn't even being manufactured anymore. That's a good indicator it's on its way out. It means it still can work though. I mean, like just with the Switch 2 being released, I'm a Switch 1 user myself, and I don't have any intention to upgrade. The Switch does everything I need it to. Um, I suppose we'll see where the industry goes, but I think this the desire for constant tech improvements and innovations and folding in new features and who knows what they're planning with new updates and new AI tie-ins and everything. Tech will always reach and reach. What's your thoughts on a new Xbox handheld console coming later this year? This is the first I'm hearing about this. Let me just do it quick. Handheld. Xbox's new handheld. It looks like a Switch. It just looks like a. It looks really similar to the Steam Deck. I mean, I'm guessing they can't look too dissimilar. I don't have any opinions. I mean, I don't think my opinion would really matter too much. But if you want anything from me, it's that I didn't even know it was coming. um, any 4-up challenges planned? There is a desire I know from the team to want to get into more challenges and doing some more fun content. I know I really want to jump into some more fun live streams as well. I don't know if any of you remember some of the old quizzes I used to run. We used to do some weird community quizzes where I'd bring up like certain amounts of data, um, and just tie it into questions. But I haven't done one of those in a little while. I'd love to do it. I think it's fair to say that the team are we're finding our way through new responsibilities and owning new tasks. So we're doing our best to try and support like preview live streams and support streams as much as we can. We'll try and bring some more 4-up fun back because I know everyone does enjoy it. But it's not something we're always able to do as much as we used to be able to. Switch would let you drive a train while riding the same train. You know, I've seen people doing this with laptops. I wish I could name the person who sent the photo in, but they were on the Azuma while playing on the Azuma. And I think they even tried to line up in the same seat, which was amazing. More with ambassadors, which way I'm honestly I'm up for it. We have more events that we want to hook up with all of our ambassadors. So come if you've got an idea and you want to put something forward to us, I'm happy to support it. I'd love that. Bring back pub quizzes with JD. JD is an amazing quiz master. I will let like he knows he is. Hentis, I agree. 4-up ambassador 4-up challenges. I'm loving this. I'm gonna make a note. I might be able to check in with you all on this maybe early next week and put something together. Yes, yeah, casual rails in here too. Community leaders forum. Yeah, Jason, I mean, the potential here is limitless, right? We could have community leaders versus community ambassadors. Um, I'm loving it. It was Francis, wasn't it? I don't think it was Francis. I don't know. I don't remember what activations we did with Francis because I wasn't as closely involved with that. But I'm pretty sure it was just a community member when we had the Azuma announced. Make a cool livery soon. Maybe I will. I do love a good bit of livery designer fun. I don't know if Titan, if you had a chance to see my Calm one I did for the Calm charity stream. That was the most recent one I did. I had a lot of fun doing that. Livery designer contests. These are all great ideas. Okay, folks, I appreciate your time tonight. What I'll do is I'm going to check in with the Q&A thread. So there were a few tonight that I've just been able to provide very little detail on. I'm going to try and chase with the teams. I think there's a couple mentions. John McGlade, how's JD doing? You've not seen him for a long time. He's doing fantastic. He really is. Obviously, I check in with him and the team like once every day for during the week. He's maybe not as front facing on live streams as much as he used to be, but he's got other things he's looking at now because he kind of leads up community and the marketing side as well. So he's busier than ever. But no, he's doing fantastic. Pub quiz. I'll mention that he's missed. I'll mention that you're demanding him and you're forcing my hand to put him in front of a live stream on a pub quiz. Amaze Taze, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I know everyone's missing Matt. I am too. Matt's lovely chuckle whenever I say something wrong is to be missed. He'll be back soon. No worries. He'll be back as soon as we can get it. But yeah, I appreciate everyone tonight. It's been a bit of a slower one. I've tried to do my best to add a little bit of extra discussion in, but I know some people like to hear it more from Matt's side, and I'll see if I can get any more details from the dev teams, share it with you all on the Q&A thread, and we'll keep you updated through the month. But it's really exciting what we've got coming up. There's loads of amazing third-party content that we've got lined up soon, and I'll check in with you all on that soon as well. Just a couple ones. Rob, you mentioned if you want to get in touch to become a third-party developer, who should I message or speak to? There is a thread I want to link you to on our forums. Hopefully I can find it. It should just be pinned in our announcements. Essentially, we have an email for this um, where you can email. I think I don't want to get the email wrong. That's the only problem. Um, third party. Let's see if I can find it. There's a specific email that if I can't find it to you now, what I'll do is I'll follow it up in the thread of Q&As tomorrow, which I'll link just now actually for everyone to check out. And it'll allow you to basically send us an email and a pitch of what you intend to do, and we can kind of look at the support you're able to give it. That's the Q&A thread. So again, tomorrow, or probably because I've got some holiday leave tomorrow morning at least. I'll check in with this thread as soon as I can and update it with all of the information from tonight. I'll timestamp the live stream so you can all check back here if you haven't been able to watch as well. I appreciate all the wonderful mentions, folks. I really do. It's meant a lot. And just on your mention, Rob, yeah. Oh, you're making cool, wonderful. I'll get you that email that you can that you can send in and you can kind of pitch towards, and that would be the right place to go. Cool. Your orange squash awaits. I can't wait. I've never wanted something more. But yeah, thanks everyone for tonight. Lots of exciting things coming, and I think the big thing is that we've got the patch coming in early July, which does hopefully tackle a few big things that I know you're all waiting for, which is obviously more improvements, which is great. The Konarken on PlayStation 5 and Epic Games, which is really good for those players, and hopefully the Class 150 audio improvements too, alongside a bunch of other good stuff. And by the time we get to July, hopefully we've had more news on, say, the Class 86 and some of the other add-ons releasing soon as well. But that'll be it for the June 2025 roadmap. And by the time we get to July, hopefully Matt will join us as well, so I can kind of throw the conversation back to him as well. But have a great night, everyone. I've appreciated it, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye. I can't find my thanks for watching screen now. There it is. Okay, bye-bye.